God fucking damn it. But the fact he was able to enter it so easily is definitely strange. Draken must have had prior precautions to prevent such a thing from happening. Maybe the employees got lazy and disabled the lock against his orders. It's possible, but would Draken really allow something like that to happen?
Objection!
Nailed it. Hold on. I'm just quickly finishing up some food so that I wasn't so hungry. You wouldn't know that because I was muted for the past 20 minutes. Miss Steelman, you claimed that my client expressed negligence by disabling the door. This is the reason why the security door was unlocked, and why the current witness was able to enter the building. That's correct. Your client's negligence allowed unauthorized persons like Justin Wayne to gain access to the building. And regardless of any sabotage, Justin Wayne died because he was in said unauthorized area. What if I told you that another person may have disabled the door? Not because of laziness, but for more nefarious purposes. What are you talking about? If you recall, the witness entered the refinery building and spotted Justin Wayne afterwards. This means that Justin Wayne entered the building before her. So that begs the question, how did Justin Wayne enter the building? The answer is obvious. He entered the same way the witness did, through the unlocked door. Not quite, Miss Steelwind. Since this trial began, we still haven't answered why Justin Wayne entered the refinery building in the first place. He entered the refinery building with the intent of robbing my client's personal safe. I already told you, Tyrion! He would never do something like that! You feel a bit guilty about insulting a dead man's name like this. But it's the only possibility that makes sense. I'm sorry, Rika, but there are things about Justin's that even you didn't know about. The truth is that he was deeply in debt to a crime lord named the Eye Taker, and he was extremely desperate to wipe that debt as soon as he could. Crime lord? I won't ask how you came across this information, Mr. Cuthbert, but what does this have to do with the disabled magic lock? Miss Steelwind, Justin owned a set of tools that he used for picking mundane and magical locks. The safe that he was planning to rob was located in my client's office within the refinery building. I have witnesses who saw Justin retrieve those tools shortly before the night of the accident. He clearly had a plan to disable any locks that stood between him and that safe. This means that it's entirely possible that Justin disabled the lock to the refinery door illegally. We're not actually going to bring them in, are we? Don't worry, Celeste! You'll take care of them, right? We'll have them obey. You have them under your thumb, right? Yeah, I'm kind of bluffing right now. You basically assaulted one of them. We both assaulted them, Tyrion. Yeah, but I'm not the one who knocked him cold. And he's fine! And then you hear it's just like in the background, we said you're fine! He says that as if her absolutes any of her guilt. Hold on a minute. You can't just accuse him like that because he can't defend himself. I'm sorry, Rika, but his delinquent friends told me about his plans. He didn't want to rob Draken, but he needed the gold to wipe away his debt. If Justin wasn't the one who disabled the lock, then that only leaves Draken. But there has to be an explanation why neither one of them is guilty. She definitely believes in Justin, but a scenario where both Justin and Draken are innocent is too optimistic, if not impossible. But it's not as if you are entirely certain of what actually happened that day either. Alright, Rika, you knew Justin better than I did. Let's assume that you are correct. Neither Justin or Draken disabled the locks that day. How did either of you enter the refinery then? Well, somebody must have disabled it before then. Wait, let me think through this. of people could have disabled the lock. Maybe one of the employees got lazy and forcefully broke it. There's also that nobleman who was with Mr. Morrison. He's a mage, and he could have used magic to do it. my poor Rika, not knowing that she just accused the goddamn prince! Oh, by the way, Aster is always going to be referred to as the goddamn prince. It also could have been one of the maintenance constructs. I saw him one working on the machines. Maybe one of them broke the lock. I can barely even begin to point out all the issues with your seriousness to order. If you recall, the entrance lock can only be disabled by St. Dracoden. Even Mr. Colbert's series makes more sense than your list of suspects. Heck, she's right. It doesn't matter how many suspects she presents. None of them had the credentials to disable the lock. So why do you feel like there's something else wrong with her testimony? The defense would still like to exercise the right to cross-examine the witness. What a waste of time. While the court agrees with Miss Steelwind, we also recognize Mr. Cuthbert's right to cross-examination. However, I will not allow the defense to waste the court's time. If nothing sustains the gain from your cross-examination, I will not hesitate to end it early. Understood, Your Honor. But as I said before, Draken was the only person who able to legally disable this lock. And Justin Wayne was the only person who had the skill sets to disable it illegally. Well, how do you know someone didn't also have tools like that? That's certainly possible, but unlikely. The ability to pick a magical lock seems like a rare skill for anyone to have. And as far as you know, no one else there was unauthorized that day. Except for maybe Aster and Morrison. Steelwind, did the Inquisition find any evidence of physical tampering on the entrance lock? Not at all. Furthermore, if any employee had attempted what the witness is describing, it would have set off the refinery's security system. Sorry, Rika. Well, the Harbor Master's companion would have no reason to perform such an act. Yeah, because there's only 2 people in this room who know who this companion is. It's the goddamn prince. Actually, it's 3. Because we gotta put, I forgot to add Celeste to that. Your personal bias may be clouding your judgment, Miss Steelwind. But she's absolutely right, Tyrion. The companion was the goddamn prince. This isn't merely an explanation based off his character, Mr. Cuthbert. The nobleman in question had the legal authority to enter the building. He wouldn't need to resort to underhanded tactics. Right. As the Crown Prince, he would legally enter the Arcane Refinery if he wanted to. In fact, that's probably how he entered in the first place. You would probably know that since you two seem so close to each other. Ooh, do I hear a hint of jealousy behind that? Ooh, says the goddamn prince fiance. Is she jealous of our relationship with Aster? She's the one who's engaged to him. Maybe it'd be best to avoid bringing Aster with her. Maintenance constructs. You know, those magically animated suits of armor. Oh, she must have seen an arcane construct while she was exploring the refinery. Incorrect, Tyrion. Draken didn't want any of them, so he didn't buy anything from the Sanctus. Arcane constructs only perform the actions that they are ordered to do. And a construct at the Arcane Refinery would only take orders from their administrator, say for Dragon. Unless you want to imply that Draken ordered the construct to break the lock. May I remind the prosecution that the constructs are prone to error and misinterpretation of their actions. Perhaps this construct accidentally broke the lock while carrying out its usual orders. The Inquisition found no evidence of physical tampering on the lock. And even if they had, the security system would have alerted the moment this happened. Well, I guess you have a lot of contradicting statements to work with this time. Yeah, I need to find a contradiction that's not so readily apparent. One's not apparent. There's another contradiction in her testimony? I'm not so sure, but I can't help but feel like she said something that doesn't fit with what we already know already. Duh! Objection! He didn't buy any constructs! Wait. Probably never. It's a game that I don't really find interesting. Wait, that can't be right, can it? Rika, you said that you saw a maintenance construct inside the refinery building. Are you sure that it was an arcane construct? Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on them in the Von Sanctus catalogs, but they're not available to the public yet. When you saw this arcane construct, what was it doing? I'm not exactly sure, but it looked like it was doing some maintenance on the machines. Maintenance on the machines. But it shouldn't have been there in the first place. What was it doing there? And more importantly, who sent it there? Where are you going with this, Mr. Cuthbert? As I said before, an arcane construct owned by the defendant wouldn't have disabled the lock. I agree, a construct owned by my client wouldn't have done that. But arcane constructs are extremely rare and not available to the general public yet. Furthermore, they are only produced and sold by Von Sanctus Industries. Lord Von Sanctus personally sold several products to the Drinking Trading Company. However, when offered the opportunity to purchase his arcane constructs, my client turned him down. What? My client dislikes the construct's flawed intelligence. He didn't want them working in his refinery. He turned down Lord Von Sanctus' offer in favor of utilizing human labor. Wait, then why did I see a construct there? Exactly. If my client didn't own any constructs, why did the witness see one there? Or to phrase the question differently, who sent that construct there? Who? Why would anyone send an arcane construct into the refinery? First, let's consider the rarity of arcane constructs. They're highly experimental and not available to the public yet. With all these elements in mind, only one person in the city of Onyx could have done this. Wait! You can't possibly mean... I do miss Steelwind. Few individuals had access to an arcane construct. And even fewer people had the ability to disable the lock without alerting the security system. Only one individual could have done everything that I had described. Lord Von Sanctus, the noble Lord of Onyx. You can't be serious! Are you accusing Lord Von Sanctus of legally sending a construct into the arcane refinery? What possible reason would he even have to do that? When Rika saw the construct, she said it was working on the machines. But the construct that was sent by Van Sictus didn't actually work for Dragon. Wait, that mean? Rika, when you saw that construct in the refinery, was it carrying anything? Yeah, actually. It was carrying a large cylinder machine. It looked pretty heavy. Like it would normally need to be held by 2 people. Yeah! How do you know? It all makes sense now. Van Sanctus has been far too aggressive in pushing these charges. It wasn't because he was desperate of getting rid of Durkian. It's because he needed to cover up what actually happened. Mr. Cuthbert, where are you going with all of this? You see, Your Honor, the tool that the witness saw the construct carrying wasn't just any tool. It was a rod of mending, an artificery tool that channels transmutation magic. Transmutation magic? As in magic that could be used to weaken and sabotage part of the refinery? No, are you seriously accusing? Your Honor, Lord Von Sanctus sent the construct to the Arcane refinery to sabotage it! In other words, Lord Von Sanctus is responsible for that guardrail breaking. I think that's enough out of you, you upstart commoner. I think someone's still a little petty from when we beat him in chest. The judge really needs to stop these grips from barging onto the stand. I agree, Celeste. Judge, to be fair, who's gonna stop a noble from a pillar family? Fair enough, too. I have enough of these blatant accusations. If you want to sling mud in my name, you will do it to me directly. Lord Van Sanctus, I would highly advise against doing this. Please. Do you think I'm like that fool Pierce? The defendant's theory is laughable, and I have several pieces of evidence that can easily prove my innocence. He has a good poker face, but the eye is telling you that he's a little desperate. But very well, if the defense wishes to accuse you, I would see no harm in allowing you to defend yourself. The court would very much like to hear your testimony on the matter. And here's a waterwork. It is possible to order a construct to complete a complex list of tasks, but doing so is ill-advised. I'm sure you observed this in the Nightgrave trial. Constructs are extremely prone to error when completing a long list of tasks. According to the defense, the saboteur stole a rod of mending and used it to sabotage very specific sections of the refinery. I would never trust a construct to discreetly complete such an indiscreet set of tasks unsupervised. And before you ask, I was miles away from the refinery at the time of the accident. I have several associates who can confirm this alibi. Therefore, I had no way of observing this construct from afar, nor did I have any way to communicate with it. That actually makes a lot of sense. The Nightgrave trial revealed the risk of ordering a contract who committed a crime, but nevertheless, Rika saw a contract at the refinery that day. That's irresistible. He definitely gave the contract a complex list of tasks to sabotage the refinery and raise a reasonable question. How did he account for the contract's error-prone logic? Is that not a massive flaw in the construct's design? Artificially can only do so much. It's difficult enough to create magical items that can respond to verbal commands. But our magic is still not advanced enough to replicate the common sense of a living creature. The arcane construct is still a marvelous invention. You merely need to supervise them if you need to give them complex tasks. But regardless, you admitted that it is possible. Yes, but... Are you referring to what happened with Theodore Redmond's construct? I am. This is us saying that constructs weren't designed to aid in it, but its murder. They were also not designed to carry out such a long task unsupervised. A lot of Redmond's orders fell well outside the construct's intended usage. He ordered it to transport a human body from one point to another, and he even ordered it to play audio to make itself look like a person. And I'm sure you know how that ended. Yeah, I'm the one who figured that out, idiot. He's right. The construct encountered unfortunate circumstances and failed to complete its task. As the construct's creator, Fensectus knew such circumstances would be unavoidable. So how did he get around that? That's correct. As the chairman of Fensectus Industries, you would have the resource and know-how to use it in such a way. Yes, I suppose I would. But do you forget that I couldn't have been there personally? Perhaps you were desperate enough to take chances like that. Please, I admit I find Draken to be a nuisance to my holdings. But I hardly have a position in the resorts to such desperate tactics. That does make sense. You suppose that he was never planning for things to come back to him. If Celeste and I hadn't casted detect magic, no one would have ever known that someone used magic and was in the refinery. And I suppose you wouldn't mind having these associates testify before the court. Last Fensectus was discussing the blockade being put around the city. Steelwind. I won't go into details about what they discussed, but the King's Guard, the City Watch, and Arcane Inquisition, and myself were present. We can all confirm that he was present at the meeting. Although, his behavior was quite erratic that day. Ugh, how could I not? You people have no care for personal hygiene. It took my retainers hours to disinfect. I can do words. The area. Can we please stay on subject? Right. Anyways. What if the construct wasn't actually active? You could have had one of your servants don the construct as a disguise. It was extremely dangerous to wear the construct like a suit of armor. It almost always ends in a severe injury or in death in the worst case. Furthermore, the construct would needed to carry and use a rod of mending. I have many capable servants, but none have superhuman strengths. Right. Sense of the contract was the one carrying the rod. These arguments makes a lot of sense, actually. You wouldn't trust a construct to sabotage a refinery alone, especially if there was such a big risk of getting caught. But regardless of what he said, Rika did see a construct there that day. You doubt that he'd take a risk like that, so he must have a way to ensure the construct completed its task correctly. He's a noble from a pillar family, and he's probably an accomplished mage. Could he have used that somehow? This is gonna be a long shot. Objection! I guess it was right! Well, Invictus, you testified that there is no way for you to observe and communicate with the construct. Am I correct? Hello, Booba? Yes, I was at the meeting with the Steelwinds, with Steelwind for that entire day. Anyone there could have testified to that fact. I'm not disputing your so-called alibi, but it's not as airtight as you might think. What are you talking about? I was there at the meeting, Mr. Cuthbert. Lord Van Sanctus may have been absent in mind, but he was there physically. Absent in mind. His attention wasn't focused on the meeting, which means that his attention was somewhere else. I suppose you're correct, Miss Steelman, but I still have one question for you, Lord Van Sanctus. Pah! And what would that be? Are you able to cast the send message spell? Thanks to the goddamn prince, we know about this spell. What? Miss Steelman, your client may have been physically at the meeting, but his attention was somewhere else, wasn't it? He could have used a combination of spells to use the construct during the meeting. And he could have used the send message spell to communicate it with over a large distance. If my claim is truly false, your client should have no trouble disproving it with his spell condominium. Well... Are we really right in our mind for hitting one of the 4 pillars mad at us? Von Sanctus. You appear to be hesitating, Von Sanctus. Can I assume that you do know how to cast send message? If so, that would put a gigantic hole in your alibi. Steelwind, you were there, weren't you? My attention was fully there. The idea that I was communicating with a construct is absurd. I'm afraid that I can't say that, Lord Van Sanctus. Steelwind! I did find it odd. Your attention appeared to be elsewhere. Despite the gravity of our discussion, and I seem to recall you speaking under your breath the entire time. I always just assumed you were muttering escontracies, but Mr. Cuthbert's explanation does seem possible. What are you saying? Aren't you obligated to defend me? I am obligated to represent you to the best of my abilities. I am not obligated to forge your alibi for you. You little... Lord Van Sanctus, I'm afraid the court needs an answer. Are you able to cast the send message spell? Well, fine. I'll admit it, okay? I'm able to cast send magic. But that still doesn't prove anything! His voice betrays him in a hint of desperation. Is this where I empower Hyatt? You have it right where you want him. Now it's our opportunity to deal the final blow. So why do you feel so uneasy? There's still 2 details that don't sit well with you. Well, when I looked to see what it was, I saw that Justin had tumbled over the guardrail of the walkway. Rika saw Justin fall over the guardrail even though Von Sanctus sabotaged it. Then please enlighten us, Mr. Cuthbert. How could both of their testimonies possibly be true? Well, I think there's only one possible explanation. Both Miss Tudor and Miss Thorne saw someone fall off the walkway. But the person that Miss Tudor and the person that Mr. Morin saw are 2 different people. The second person that fell into the vat is still unaccounted for. Wouldn't the second person be the construct? Luckily, you didn't need to prove that the second person existed. But not having an explanation for Aster's and Morrison's testimony still irks you. However, even if it's not a clean ending, there's only one way forward. And that's revealing Von Sanctus for the petty saboteur that he is. Oh, we're arguing here. Why did you hesitate so long to answer my question, Von Sanctus? You know very well why I hesitated. Oh, someone's still a little petty that I will beat him in chess. Why would I willingly give you evidence? You clearly intended to use it against me. Regardless, this entirely disproves your alibi. You could have communicated with your construct at the meeting. By that logic, I could have been the mastermind behind every crime that occurs in Arnox. I had many means to commit this crime, but there are plenty of other individuals who could ascend the Arcane construct. Von Sanctus, you of all people should know that the concerned constructs are not available to the public. When you attempted to sell these constructs to Tyrion, you promised him that he would be the first merchant in Arnox that would own one. Since you refused your offer, that would leave you as the only owner of a construct of Arcane constructs in Arnox. That's well, I admit that I have been able to that I may not have been truthful when I made that sales pitch. So you're saying that you lied to my client? Oh, please. Every good businessman knows how to embellish the truth when making a sale. The truth is that I sold those contracts to plenty of other people and individuals in Arnox. If only it would be too dangerous to sell it to anyone. Frankly, Von Sanctus, I find that hard to believe. After the Nightgrave travel, you must have been a lot more fearful about who you sold your constructs to. You only tried to sell your constructs to Draken so that you could control him. You wouldn't have done that otherwise. Is that so? Why didn't you prove it? No, Von Sanctus, why didn't you prove that your statement? Show us any invoice that you have proves that you made a sale to someone in Arnox. Well, who says that the saboteur lives in Arnox when I made the sale? Are you serious? Arnox is a trading hub. Plenty of people come and go from the city. Any of my customers would have had secretly entered the city to carry out the sabotage. Von Sanctus, you might have been right under any other circumstance. But the Kingsguard locked down the city on the day of the accident occurred. No one except the few individuals could have left or entered the city. And due to the gravity of the situation, the Kingsguard created profiles of everyone within the city. Why don't we cross-reference the records taken by the Kingsguard with the list of the individuals who you sold constructs to? But I suppose from your reaction, that list would come up empty. So why didn't you admit to your crimes, Von Sanctus? Or do I have to drag the evidence into the court myself? Wait, drag the evidence into court? Of course, how could I forget? Oh no. What? Why don't you go ahead and do that, Mr. Cuthbert? Bring your so-called evidence. I don't know where this confidence is coming from, but we can easily detect the traces of divination magic and transmutation magic on the constructs you own. That's assuming that the construct still exists, that is. Of course he would get rid of the constructs. Wait, that's right! If he used a construct to commit a crime like this, he would definitely be disposed of it by now. Even with that blockade, Arnox is a gigantic city. With his resources, he could have hidden it anywhere in the city. It would be a needle hidden in a town of haystacks. Well, we still have the testimony of Marika Satoru, and I'm sure that many other people saw that construct rock around the refinery. The common folk can hardly be trusted to recognize the complex artificery. It's not the actual construct. All you have several unreliable witnesses. Tell me, Lady Steelwing, can I be convicted of such serious charges with such evidence? No, I suppose not. Damn it! He's seriously gonna get away with this? No, you still have one card up your sleeve. Powered up. If you could just find out where he disposed of the evidence, you might be able to direct the Inquisition there. Come on, focus on his thoughts, Tyrion. Activate the empowered eye. You're indefending and glaring. Will do you no favors. What? Why isn't it working? The Eye of Hardness is powerful too, Tyrion. But that's twice now you used the empowered eye to get out of corner. If you keep relying on one trick, you'll never grow as an attorney. One day, you'll find a witness that the empowered eye won't work on. It told me I was right. You've been relying on the empowered eye too much. From your silence, I assume that you have no way to refute my claim. I suppose that makes it checkmate. You upstart commoner. No! I will beat you twice upon Sanctus! I just have to figure out what to do now that I can't use empowered eye. Honestly, I can't believe you resort to accusing me of manslaughter. We're not accusing you of manslaughter. But cast and underhanded tactics. But I suppose I wouldn't expect any less from a charlatan like you. Damn it. What the hell are you doing? What? That look on your face. Are you seriously giving up? I've seen you get out of plenty of situations like this. I can't use empowered eye, Celeste! No, I'm not supposed to tell you that because you don't even know about the Eyes of Hornus. So why are you giving up this time? I'm sorry, Celeste, but I can't use my usual strategies. There's no way to find the evidence that we need. Seriously? There's always a way, Tyrion. If your usual strategies aren't working, you just need to do something different. She's right. You don't need to see directly into his mind to utilize your skill as an attorney. You may not be able to rely on the Horus this time, but you've always been able to rely on deductive reasoning. Well, it seems that you have no further questions for me, and you clearly don't have a shred of physical evidence to support your claims. I think I'll be taking my leave. I'm not quite done with you, Von Sanctus. Honestly, your desperation is almost pitiful. You should really learn to lose with dignity, Mr. Cuthbert. Oh yeah, kind of like how you did when I beat you in chess the other day. He's the last person you want here to his hat from. Calm your mind and focus. You may not be able to read Von Sanctus's mind in the literal sense, but you can still extrapolate his plan and actions. Let's explore my theory a little more and see for ourselves there's no physical evidence. If you wanted to use a construct, you wouldn't need to maintain a constant communication. So to prove that communication occurred, we need something that connects you to it. Which piece of evidence would connect the murder to Von Sanctus? Send message can normally only target a person, but arcane constructs possibly don't count as people for the purposes of that spell. Which piece of evidence would that leave behind? Yeah, that's right. What kind of magic do you use in the construct? Conjugation. Wait, let me read the, For the duration of the spell, the caster projects their voice to communicate to a target. Anyone within a 30-foot radius of the target can hear the caster's voice. The caster can also hear the sounds close to the target, allowing for two-way communication. The target must be a person known to the caster. That person must also be conscious, otherwise the spell will fail. Alternately, the target can be an object that is attuned to the caster's magic. Arcane construct isn't a person, so you must have needed an object to attune your magic to communicate with it. Miss Steelwind, if you were able to find that object, that would tie your client to the sabotage. Hypothetically, yes. The Inquisition has the divination magic, and they can use it to detect if an object is attuned to a specific mage. Good luck finding such evidence. If I did perform these acts, the remains could be anywhere in Arcane. I'm not so sure about that, Vensanctus. Let's look at things at your perspective. Why would you do the things that you did that day? Knowing that points us to ultimately where you hit the construct. Your intention was to sabotage the refinery without anyone finding out what you did. So how would you dispose of the construct and the entombed item? Wait, destroy? You used the vat of elicited liquid. You suppose that makes sense. You found the remnants of the rod of mending in there too. But wouldn't that mean the object is fully dissolved? Exactly, there would be no physical evidence for you to find. That's not necessarily true. You threw the rod of mending into the vat and that didn't fully dissolve. What? The workers neutralized the liquid immediately after Justin fell into the vat. What? Neutralizing that liquid would render it unsavageable and useless. Doing that would have cost the dragon a small fortune. Unlike you, Vansectus, my client values the life of his workers over his profits. And because of that, the Inquisition was able to find pieces of bone matters and metal within the vat. Wait, the rod didn't fully dissolve. That means it was thrown into the vat around the same time Justin fell into it. You wouldn't have thrown the rod into the vat until after you were done with your sabotage. If you wanted to destroy the rod, you would have destroyed all the evidence that you need to get rid of. What piece of evidence? I don't think it's also... You would have also destroyed the arcane construct itself. That's ridiculous! Lady Steelwind, why aren't you? I told you before, didn't I? I will defend you to the best of my ability, but I will not fabricate an alibi for you. You must have ordered the construct to throw itself into the vat to hide any traces of your sabotage. A machine resembling a human threw itself into the vat. This means that anyone looking at the walkway would have seen this. That's it! The arcane construct was the second person that Aster and Morse fell into the vat. That's why we didn't find the organic matter from anyone other than Justin in there. The second body that Aster and Morrison fought were actually arcane construct. How are you? Wait, Rika was sure that she saw Justin fall off the walkway. After she notified Aster and Morrison, she saw the construct break the guardrail and fall into the vat. Wouldn't that mean the construct disposed of itself after Justin Wade fell off the walkway? Why would you order it to do that? Because it never happened! Your logic is flawed. He's getting stressed out. Maybe you should try using the empowered eye. No, you didn't need it this time. You are so close to figuring it out, you could feel it. So think, if he was observing the construct using magic, he must have seen Justin fall. And for some reason, he reacted by sabotaging the guardrail. Why does Insect sabotage the guardrail? Unless he did all of this because he saw Justin fall. It's because he wanted it to look like an accident. Which means that it wasn't actually wasn't an accident. Oh, now you're just accusing me of intentionally murdering the victim? Why would I ever do that? You said it yourself. My goal was to sabotage. Committing murder would have brought unnecessary attention to what I've done. But those constructs, they do have a habit of shoving people that are in their way. What if the construct pushed Justin out of the way, causing him to fall over the edge of the guardrail? He's figuring out everything that happened from just a few clues. Hey, I didn't see you there. I was just walked past him. Acknowledge. What? Hey, watch it! Quit shoving me! Wait, whoa. Holy crap, pull me up. I can't hold on for much longer. Huh, you idiot, what are you doing? What? Grab his arm and pull him up. Acknowledge. My hand! What the hell are you doing? Your grip is too tight. Stop that. Acknowledge. Ah! Wait, I can't. It may have not been intentional, but either way, you would have been at fault for Justin's death, not my client. And if the construct fell in after Justin, your tuned object must be somewhere in that neutralized liquid. No, it's even better than that. Constructs are made from a special magical alloy, aren't they? I'm sure with a few divination spells, we can identify the metal shards. We can identify the metal shards from the construct and your arcane focus. Each and every one of those pieces of evidence points directly at you, Von Thankthis. You penitent little upstart! And that's checkmate, Von Thankthis. Again. Why don't you save us all a little time, Von Thankthis, and admit to what you did? And while you're at it, drop your false allegations against my client. I have nothing to admit to, nor do I have anything to apologize for. Of course not. You're completely blameless, right? Do you think you have achieved victory here today? No. Citizens like you and the Draken are absolutely deluded. Each and every breath you take only throws the Vanguard further into chaos. You talk about these commoners as if they have even a fraction of power that you have. Lady Steelwind, you need to see reason. They lack awareness of the powers they truly have. What? These people have infected you and His Majesty with idealistic delusions. I implore you both to see the reality for what it is. No, Von Thankthis. The true reality is that people like you become threatened when we challenge your power. You all speak about rights of individuals. You speak of as each and every one of you wouldn't stab each other in the back the moment that benefits yourself. You may hate the nobility. You may curse, scream, and blame us all for your little problems. But the truth is that you need us. You need us to direct and lead you. I think Draken can prove that no, we really don't need you. You need us to maintain the fragile order that holds your peaceful little lives together. You talk about protecting the common folk from themselves. But the truth is that your actions led to the death of an innocent man. Well, not really innocent. That's the only truth that matters. The defense has no further questions for the witness. He is dismissed. But very well. We did it again, Tyrion! And we even caught another murderer in the process. Yeah. We couldn't get the case officially dismissed today, but it's pretty much irrevocable with evidence that we brought in today. Actually, it probably won't even reach that point. I've advised Lord Sanctus to drop the suit entirely. Words have already spread regarding the evidence that you brought forward. At this point, prolonging the trial would just harm his public image even more. That's great! Now you can build a case against him for Justin's death. About that, I'll probably be forced to recuse myself from any charges brought up against him. What? Why? It's because you represented him in the suit, isn't it? It would be considered a conflict of interest to prosecute him yourself, even though you're probably the only prosecutor that would convict him successfully. You're correct. As the head of one of the Pillar families, he has the justice system dancing in the palm of his hands. He will definitely be quietly and skillfully acquitted. I would never agree to represent him if I'd known about this. I'm truly sorry. Damn it. He must have planned this all along. No. Is he seriously going to get away with this? I wouldn't be so sure about that. Draken! He may be acquitted in the legal sense, but in the court of public opinion is a different thing entirely. What do you mean? You brought forward a merit of evidence against him, and I'm sure everyone in the gallery saw it too. Von Sanctus's power relies on his public image, and you quite handedly tore down that first aid. He may walk free, but his power and ideals have taken a great blow. But is that seriously all we can do? His actions and recklessness resulted in the death of Justin Wei. He should be punished within the letter of the law. You're not wrong, Mr. Cuthbert. But sometimes we must take victories that we can get. She is probably right. But there's still one thing that's nagging me. Oh, and what's that? Why was your safe unlocked if nothing was stolen? If Justin had gotten to your safe, he would have taken your gold with him. Wouldn't there still be... Considering that nothing is missing, I'd rather leave it at that. Really? Justin was a good man. I'd rather not taint the memories of him, especially Mofarika's. Right, she was pretty upset about your accusations. Nothing was taken, so no harm was done in that regard. I suppose so. But I can't help but wonder what actually happened. And that's the end of that episode. I think I'll continue. I'm in a good mood. I'm in a good spot. It just makes no damn sense to me. The kid successfully robbed the guy days ago. No one saw him. No one even suspected him. But he breaks into that place again. So he could put back the stolen gold. Does this make any sense to you, Iris? Perhaps he felt remorse for his actions, Father. Not everyone can betray the people they love so easily. And if that's true, I feel like there's a sense of tragic beauty to all of it. If he ever tried to do the right thing, he would never even encounter the construct in the first place. He would have paid his debt, and he would still have his life. It's true what they say. No good deed goes unpunished. It's a shame about the gold, though. I think we've done more than made a profit today. I, for one, am happy to have another claim of a boatload of titles today. Alright, next episode. We're just gonna jump right into it. Up until now, we've been following the story of Tyrion Cuthbert. We have experienced the world through his eyes and fought for justice through his soul. But this time, we don't have to start from the perspective. Why don't we start from the perspective of another? I can't believe Cuthbert can read the client's mind without asking. It's starting to become a problem. He's becoming more and more reckless with each passing year. I wish Frey was still alive. She would know what to do. She made it look so effortless. He loved her. Would he have listened to her if she was still here? Is something the matter, Tomura? No, I was just thinking about something. Well, the trial is about to begin. I don't doubt your abilities, but I'd still appreciate if you remained focused. All of our futures are at stake after all. Of course, Miss Frega. Is this like, Marin's mother or something? Beatrice takes a deep breath in before she claps her hands together. What's wrong? Nothing. It's just the ritual that I use to calm myself. Oh, she must be like the older sister because she's only 23. Right. I almost forgotten about that. But more importantly, what are you doing here? My father sent me to guide Beatrice to the courthouse. It's a new environment for her, and we're both worried about her condition. I still can't believe you were the boss's daughter this entire time. Why didn't you say anything about the academy? Oh, knowing my true identity would cause friction with your son, wouldn't it? He's not my... Anyways, I suppose I understand why you stayed quiet. But I still don't appreciate you being kept in the dark about them. Oh, speaking of the devil... You spot Cuthbert and McCoy walking into the courtroom with other members of the gallery. McCoy spots you and gives you a friendly yet awkward smile. However, Cuthbert ignores you entirely and walks silently into the courtroom. Parent-child troubles? We had an argument earlier. It's nothing to worry about, if you say so. You were always weary about what he saw in Beatrice's mind, though. He's always been a good kid, but his idealistic of justice clouds his judgment sometimes. You just hope that he's not planning to do anything reckless. The trial is about to begin. Do you really have time to be making small talk here? Prosecutor Steelwind approaches the three of you. But she also appears accompanied by someone else. Netgrave, is it you? What are you doing here? Well, he's accompanying me as my ad for this case. I see. So I assume you'll be prosecuting? Of course. I would never pass up the opportunity to face the infamous Rubia Tomria. Really? If I recall correctly. You haven't even beaten Tyrion once so far. Miss Steelman, don't strain yourself. What's that look for, Beatrice? You almost look surprised to see me here. Considering the circumstances, I thought you might recuse yourself. I'm more than capable of being objective. Especially for a case of this much importance. Well, I hope your mind is as strong as you think it is. Miss Steelwind, please calm down! Oh, how I love a good reunion. Court is now in session for the trial of Beatrice Frega. Miss Steelwind, is the prosecution ready? Miss Steelwind? Oh, of course! The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is also ready, Your Honor. Something about her, it seems off about her today. Is her personal attachment to this case distracting her? Very well, let's begin the proceedings. Prosecutor Steelwind, could you please list the charges? Your Honor, the defense is charged with first-degree murder and grand theft. As many of you know, Beatrice Frega is the formerly missing daughter of the now late William Frega. And the victim of the murder is William Frega himself. Yes, I'm well aware of that. The people of Willingar will certainly mourn the loss of the Frega house head. Please, the only people mourning him are the banking house's shareholders. But anyways, did you also say the defendant is accused of grand theft? Yes, Your Honor. The crimes took place during the Lord's Ball, an evening that was hosted in Frega's manor yesterday evening. The Helsing Hall of History has a gallery displayed within the manor. They were showcasing several magical artifacts donated to the Wavengard Historical Society. One of these items was the Sword of Spell Eating, a magical artifact that allows its wielder to nullify magical effects. We, the prosecution, believe that the defendant stole this item. Then she used it to nullify the magic lock on the victim's study. After breaking into the study, she attacked the victim and slashed his throat open using the letter opener. He died of blood loss shortly after. I see. But what possible motive would the defendant have to murdering her own father? William Frega and his daughter were not close, saying that that they had a strained relationship would be an understatement. In fact, 5 years prior to the murder, Beatrice abandoned and fled her home. She went into hiding and did not contact any of her friends or family. Her whereabouts were unknown, until she suddenly contacted her father a week ago. My client left the Frege house because of her toxic relationship with her father. She wanted to create a little life for herself that was free from his influence and abuse. I won't disagree with your claims, but it just highlights how desperate the defendant must have been. She had clearly fallen on hard times and begrudgingly contacted her father for financial aid. I can't possibly understand why they would schedule this meeting during the Lord's Ball. Nevertheless, several witnesses did see her that night, and these same witnesses saw her storming out of her father's study in anger. Her father must have refused her request for gold, so she decided to murder him and claim his inheritance. Luckily, we prepared for this in advance. Yes, they're probably right to playing right into our hands. What you're saying is all construct, Miss Steelwind. You don't have any evidence or testimony that confirms what they spoke about. Yes, I'm well aware that you and your clients have refused to tell us what was discussed during that meeting. But as long as you both stay silent, my claims are plausible. Be honest, Steelwind, do you seriously think that my client committed these crimes in spite of her condition? Condition? What do you mean by this, Miss Tomura? Why don't you tell him, Miss Steelwind? Tell the court about my client's disability. Your Honor, Beatrice Frege is considered legally disabled. However, legally disabled, that's a convenient way of putting it, Steelwind. My client isn't just legally disabled. She's completely blind. Okay, that's good news. Completely blind. Is this true? We have several medical documents and testimony from several chirurgeons attesting to that fact. My client is unable to see anything. What is the meaning of this, Miss Steelwind? Do you expect me to believe that a blind woman performed any acts that you're accusing her of? I'm glad you also see how ridiculous these claims are, Your Honor. If the court could just let me elaborate! Steelwind, the prosecution's first charge is grand theft. My client would have needed to break into a magically secured display case. Performing such an act would be a difficult task for anyone, much less my client. And these second charges is first-degree murder. My client would have needed to use the sort of spell eating and on the lock leading to the victim's study. Then she would have needed to grab a letter opener, overpowering the victim and developing a precise and fatal blow to the victim's neck. Does any of that sound like a reasonable theory, Your Honor? I am compelled to agree with you, Miss Tomura. It all sounds quite ludicrous, to be perfectly honest. This is just awful. The Steelwings are clearly just attacking the Fregas, and now that their head is deceased. Objection! Enough! Your Honor, the court has not seen the evidence that supports this claim, nor have you listened to the Inquisition's testimony regarding their investigation. Until you have done so, you are in no position to pass judgment. Very well, Miss Steelwind, I suppose you have a point. Yes, the young lady has some cause after all. But it doesn't matter, their case against Beatrice is questionable at best. Frankly, it's surprising that Steelwind even went through with this. It's only a matter of time before the judge sees things your way. To begin, the prosecution would like to call the commander Olna White to the stand. Commander White, please testify to the court from the Inquisition's findings. Right. We didn't want to accuse to cause panic after the sword was stolen, so we activated the Manor silent security camera. It put an anti-magic field over the entire manor. We did search the house, and we found the stolen sword in the defendant's bedroom. It didn't look like she was going to run, and the Crown Prince Aster told us to stand down, so we just kept a close eye on her. William Braga was in a bad mood that night. He already locked himself inside his study. But an hour later, we entered the study and found him lying dead in a pool of blood. That lock was still engaged, and no one teleported in. The perp must have temporarily disabled the lock using the sword of the spell eating. We have testimony said that the defendant was seriously in debt, and she must have murdered the victim to get a part of his inheritance. Her case against Beatrice is just as you predicted, and you already have countermeasures to disprove this existence of any motive. All you have to do is present that to the court. Wait, doesn't the story make the wielder immune to magical effects? An anti-magic field would only disempower everyone except the thief. Yeah, well, we didn't know that the sword could do what the sword could do until after the investigation. Up until then, we thought it was just a dusty old artifact. That seems pretty negligent. Are you sure you're qualified for your position, Olem? Yeah, now I can tell why he doesn't like her. The situation is unprecedented for everyone involved. One could hardly expect an ancient artifact to have magical capabilities. Anyways, what did you do after that, Commander? The staff commander. That seems like a strange conclusion to jump to. My client hasn't set foot into the Frigga Manor for years. After being gone for so long, her bedroom would have been repurposed for something else. I'm not so sure about the details, but one of the defendant's sister refused to let the servants disturb that room. I guess she was hoping that her sister would come back one day. Lefay. And why would the prince tell you to stand down, Orem? Well, Crown Prince Aster knew the defendant well. His confidence that she wasn't going to flee the scene. Are you sure that he knew her just well? If I recall correctly, the prince is still very adamant about her innocence. The Crown Prince is vouching for the defendant? Is this true, Miss Steelwind? It is. However, I believe the evidence found throughout the investigation proves the contrary. Are you sure your judgment isn't simply being clouded by your jealousy? Your fiancé was previously engaged to my client, after all. You're enjoying this a bit too much. Did anyone else see him enter the study? A few people. One of them was Liffy Frigga, the victim's second daughter. So Miriam must be like the youngest. She said that he was really irritated that night, so he went into his study for some peace and quiet. I guess this meeting with the defendant put him in a bad mood. But if the matter was covered in an anti-magic field, how did he unlock the door magically? Not sure how, but the locks in the manor weren't affected by anti-magic fields. How? The magical locks generate a smaller anti-magical field around themselves. The two fields cancel each other out, so it's like multiplying two negative numbers together. I'm going to be honest, I have no understanding of these things. Is what she's saying true, Beatrice? Yes, overlapping anti-magic fields are well-studied phenomena. You just have to take her word for it. Who was the person that discovered the body? The same person who saw him last. His daughter, Life Fega. Poor Lifa. That must have been traumatizing for her. Did anyone else accompany Lifa when she happened upon the body? Yeah, supposedly one of the servants got himself locked away in a nearby storage closet. And he heard the violent attacks through one of the air vents. When he finally got out, he told Lifa that they went into the study accompanied by some knights. That sword is integral to the case against my client. So why is the description of its capabilities so vague? To be honest, the sword is magic, but it doesn't even behave like any spells we know about. And we can't identify its magic like we usually do with artificial devices. According to Lord Harrelson, the powers are demonic in nature. But if you ask me, it's all a bunch of hooey. Anyways, it's obvious that it doesn't follow the normal rules of magic. Wait, what? What is this? What is it, Miss Tomoria? It's nothing. Cuthbert was watching from the gallery, so he must have heard it too. Could the Eye Horus have something to do with demons? No. Focus on acquitting your client first. You can worry about Cuthbert later. Either way, we have testified the sword's magic on similar locks. When used correctly, it is capable of disabling the lock on the Lord Frigga's study. You have testimonies. Wouldn't official record be more valid evidence? Ms. Tomia, you and I both know that your client's creditors are not the type to keep such records. So you're admitting that you're not relying on heresy. One could conclude that. But it doesn't matter if we can prove that debt exists. The Frigga estate is unimaginably vast. Debt or no debt, that amount of wealth would be a tempted boon to any individual. She has a point. House Frigga owns all the banking houses in Vanguard. People can only dream of having that much power and wealth. The prosecution case against Beatrice is really weak. You're not even sure why they bothered bringing this trial to the first place, and you have already testimony from someone else that directly contradicts the commander's testimonies. Once you present that to the court, the case is as good as yours.
Objection.
Your Honor, the prosecution case against my client is riddled with holes, and the prosecution's proposed motive is the largest among them. What do you mean, Miss Tomoria? Of all the elements in the case, the motive is the most believable. Your client would have had much to gain through her father's inheritance. That may be, but that's assuming my client had anything to inherit at all. What? Your Honor, my client fled from her psychological abuse for father. Psychological abuse of father 5 years ago. How do you think he would have reacted to that? Lord Frigga was a petty and vengeful man. Do you honestly think that he would leave his inheritance to someone who disobeyed him so irregularly? No, he would do everything in his power to make sure that she didn't see a shred of his wealth. Yes, we are already well aware of this. The moment she slams on her cane, you notice the prosecutor wince a little, but she quickly hides it and regains her composure. On the night of the murder, the victim made a decision to disinherit the defendant. However, his murder deprived him of an opportunity to submit his will to his attorney. This only further proves the defendant's motive, so she would have needed to act quickly, lest her father submit the changed will. I'm afraid you're mistaken, Steelwind. William Frigga didn't disinherit my client that night. He disinherited my client 5 years ago. I have witnessed testimony from Miriam Frigga, William's youngest daughter. By her own admission, her father disinherited my client shortly after she fled the household. What? She never brought that up during questioning. Perhaps she is not admissible as you might thought. If you don't believe me, why don't we call her to the witness stand to ask herself? What are you planning, Miss Tomria? I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, it's clear we won't get anywhere until we hear from Miriam directly. Bailiff, please escort Miriam Frege to the stand. Miriam, is the defense correct? Did your father just inherit Beatrice 5 years ago? Yes! And you didn't think it was necessary to share this information with me? Well, you never asked. Great. If I recall correctly, you also were tight-lipped during questioning this morning. Are you staying quiet for your sister's sake? The witness just lost her father. You can't hardly expect her to recall every detail that's relevant to this case. Which raises more concerning questions. How did you extract this information? Who knows? Maybe I just have a way with people. Regardless, I suppose you have a point. I'll give the witness the benefit of the doubt. For now. In any case, Miriam, please testify to the court about how you found out about Beatrice's disinheritance. Yes, of course. One day, we all woke up and discovered that Beatrice had fled from our house. She left a note for us, and in it she renounced her name and denounced my father. My father later called me and my sister to his study. He told us that he completely disowned Beatrice and removed any claims she had to the Frege estate. It's probably a threat to us in case we ever chose to go down the same path she did. He wanted to make an example out of her. This all happened 5 years ago. Are you sure all of this happened 5 years ago? Yes, even now I can remember everything clearly. I see. Her speech is getting slower. Is she deep in thought? Nightgrave seems extremely concerned for some reason. And Leafy was there with you at this meeting. Yes, she was. However, Leafy couldn't possibly have been there. Her words were getting more slurred. You noticed that her balance is slightly swaying. Hey, are you okay? Of course, What? By the Scaled Lord, is that blood? Blood? Bailiff, find anyone capable of casting healing magic. Escort them to the courtroom immediately. Wallace is right there. After some scrambling, a couple of healers were able to help in Nightgrave stabilize the prosecutor. In all the chaos, he caught a glimpse of her. There were deep wounds and blood on several parts of her body. She must have used some kind of illusion magic to hide them, but her disguise has completely dissipated now. Before Steelwind is taken out of the courtroom, you catch her whispering something into Nightgrave's ear. You see a look of confusion from him, but he nods and makes his way to the witness stand. But not before passing a message on to the bailiff, who seems equally confused. Just what the hell's going on? Mr. Nightgrave, explain yourself. What is going on? Why was Mr. Steelwind gravely injured? I'm sorry, but I wasn't actually here as Miss Steelwind's aide. I was here as her healer. Her healer? The truth is, Miss Steelwind was violently attacked at noon today. She was in critical condition, but she insisted on prosecuting the case anyways. I owed her a favor, and she asked me to channel my necromancy to keep her wounds closed during the trial. Scaled Lord, why didn't she just recuse herself? She must have known. If anyone else tried to prosecute Beatrice, you would handedly won the trial. Nevertheless, she showed up to prosecute because no one else would. And she did all of this despite the risk to her life. It almost makes you respect her a little. Almost. Anyways, is there any need to prolong this trial, Your Honor? But what? Even you must acknowledge how weak the case against my client is. In addition to that, Miriam's testimony shows that my client had nothing to gain from her father's death. Miss Tomia, Miss Steelwind has been gravely injured, and you're still only concerned about... The only thing I'm concerned about is seeking justice for my client. Even so, we cannot move forward until we find another prosecutor. And how long do you think that will take, Your Honor? It's almost been 12 hours since the murder took place. That gives us, 36 hours? After that, every magical trace of the crime scene will fully disappear. But there might be someone. Is Steelwind simply allowing another prosecutor to work this case? We wouldn't be in this situation. She took a risk and now she has to pay the price. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? You're not exactly proud of winning this way, but this is what it takes to win, and you won't let an opportunity pass you like by. The judge is clearly unhappy with this turn of events, but it's out of his hands now. Well, due to today's unprecedented events, I suppose I have no choice. There aren't any prosecutors available immediately to take Steel One's place. Let's take a brief recess. After that, I will deliver my verdict.
Objection!
Your Honor, I'm afraid I can't let you press the verdict just yet! Mr. Cuthbert! Cuthbert! What the hell are you doing? I don't know. But what I do know is that there was a massive contradiction in Miriam Fergus' testimony. And it looks like things aren't going to be as simple as you expected. Yes! I would like to say my progress. And I'm gonna end it here. I'm gonna end it here. Because I think this is a good place to end for tonight. Because a nice cliffhanger to leave on. Thanks, Tyrion. You know how to do it. You know how to give us a good cliffhanger. We enjoy it. So anyways, like I said, thank you all for joining tonight. Much appreciated. Always love that people coming by and swinging by and coming. So let me just see in whom I can raid. No one. I guess we'll have to do the quick thing. Is there anyone else playing this game right now? The answer is probably not! I was right. No one is probably... This game doesn't have a big following, which sucks, because this game is great. Yeah, but I don't see anybody in whom I can raid. So anyways, I'll be back on Thursday, where we'll continue what the hell's going on. The Tyrion becomes a prosecutor round. Because why the hell not, right? Anyways, good night. Bye. And also, make sure to take care of your guys, please. Before I go, I want to get back here. And guys, just... a lot's going on right now. Especially here in America. And it's scary. I know that. Oh well. But I think even you guys, everybody deserves a time just to take a break and escape from it. That's why we have video games. If you just hang in there. We'll all get through these next 4 years together. But, you know, I'll keep doing my thing as long as I can. But so, yeah, we'll get through this. But please, let's not bring up anything that's going on in the world in chat. Let's just we can use this place at you can use my chat as an escapism to what's going on. Because everybody needs a place to escape. It's crazy. So let's just, hang out and have fun playing video games. But I guess until Thursday, good night. Please take care of yourselves. We all deserve it.